Welcome back, everyone. It's David Piatek and Lourdes Fernando. Today, we're going to be talking about investing with your VA home loan. And the two main things we're going to talk about is how do you evaluate the condition of a property, because that's pretty huge. Because you don't want to be buying a house where you potentially have to put in 200,000, be upside down on rental income now. What do you do, right? So we're going to cover that. We're going to also talk about understanding the rental market for your specific area. Lourdes, she owns a couple investment properties, multifamily. She's a pro at this. And well, you got two now. But she also helps a lot of veterans be look for properties and analyze them, because that's really extremely important. Because if you don't analyze the market correctly, you could be upside down based on what your mortgage payment is and what your rental roll is. And the VA loan offers a phenomenal program with doing no money down, technically with no limit if you don't have an outstanding VA home loan at the time of that purchase. So Lourdes, walk us through when someone's thinking about buying a property and looking at a condition of it. What are the things they need to consider, and what impact does it have?
Yeah, so huge. So just a little backdrop, I got 4 years. I thought it was 3, but my math, I bought in 21, so my math wasn't mathing, but 4 years, being a landlord and one of the very f or being an investor. And one of the first things that I looked into was the physical condition of the property. I wanted to see if there was any type of deferred maintenance or maintenance that I had to do immediately just to make sure that the property is safe, sound, and secure. So when you have tenants coming into your property, you just wanna make sure that they're not gonna feel unsafe, that your investment is gonna be locked down as best as possible. So when you're walking through or you're having your inspection, usually when you're walking through with your agent, you wanna be looking at the age of the mechanicals, you wanna see the age of the roof, you wanna see the current condition of the property. What are the things that you're going to have to do within the first right away, immediately as soon as you go into your property, within the first 6 months, within the first year, then you break it down to 5 years, etc. So that's the first thing that you should analyze is that you want to check, make sure you check. Oh, the plumbing too. In certain areas, plumbing is old. So if the home is more than 20 years old, the property is more than 20 years old, I recommend actually looking to see if the plumbing system is good. Is it PVC? Is it cast iron? What is it? And you just want to make sure that you have the age of pretty much everything down. Why is this important? Because it costs a lot of money.
A
A
lot.
sewer a
A
sewer
lot.
line can literally cost you anywhere between 7,000 upwards to, like, $40,000. Like, it can be tremendously expensive, not to include the damage that it causes if you do have some issues. So that is one of the things that you should look into. Recently, I had to put a clean out, to access my main sewer line,
Oh yeah.
because I had a blockage and they couldn't take out a toilet to reach my, plumbing. So it was horrible. So I had spent a tremendous amount of money putting that in so that in the future, if I do have a blockage, I can easily access my main and get that cleared out. So definitely now I know, like, if I don't see a clean out, I'm telling my clients, hey, if it's not a clean out, I I would fight strongly about getting one installed because it's just such a headache. The other thing too is the overall maintenance. So there's I always refer to two buckets. It's deferred maintenance. That means just what you have. Maintenance is different from repairs. So let's break that down really quickly. So you have maintenance items, cleaning your furnace, make sure you clean your gutters, cleaning your roof, making sure that there's tuck pointing if it's a brick home, make sure the siding is up if it's a frame home, making sure that there's no like anything that's coming to the property, sealing around your windows, etc. That's all deferred maintenance. And then you have your bucket of like repair items. Okay, so those are two different things. You need to repair your furnace. Your furnace is 15 years. They can maybe last about 20 years. Some can last a lot longer, but you just want to make sure that any repair items that you're accounting for as well. So when you're analyzing that property, you just make sure you break them down. What are the repair items in those timeframes? Immediate, 6 months, 1 year, 5 years, and then what is your deferred maintenance when you're making a determination on um, as far as the physical state. Do you have anything to add to that? I know that was a lot.
No, it was a lot, but it's good though because you gave it a lot of information. So one that clean out, that's important. I had to remove a whole bathroom, and so just so you guys know, like yeah, Lourdes has a place, renovating a place. I am renovating a place and renovating another place here shortly in another month. So all these things are kind of coming into play, right? Like I have, they didn't have a clean out. I ripped the entire bathroom out, had the guys install it. Then we did a sewer scope. The entire sewer line needs to be replaced. And depending on how it's set up, you may have to hire that company, like the utility company, to come out, and you're paying union fees, right? You're paying that money, so it's crazy expensive
Yeah.
to do that. So, and the list you talked about is extremely important because a lot of times I think people come into a home and they're like, okay, the furnace is 20 years old, it still works, and then they're just like brush it off like, oh, whatever, like if it happens it happens. But then you have to look at your bank account, right? This is why it's so important to budget and understand credit, because if you need access to credit, this is where it's going to come into play, right? Because depending on wherever you live, like, most of the time you need heating and air conditioning, and if you don't have one or the other, the inside of your home can suffer. You have hardwood floors, air conditioning breaks, you go a week without air conditioning,
Mess it up.
now your floors are going to start curling, you're going to start having issues, and that's, a lot of times not reversible. So that's why it's so important, and have a checklist. And so this is why it's important also to have to go to your home inspection,
Yeah.
understand how old things are, and make notes. Now also I want you to be realistic about, if you're like, well, all these things are wrong with the house, I'm not buying it anymore. Don't be a never buyer. Just understand what you're getting yourself into and what the neighborhood is calling for, right? Because a lot of the homes are outdated, and homes are selling for X amount of value. Guess what? That's kind of what the market is. You got to then look at, hey, what are new construction properties going for? Properties that are completely rehabbed,
Right.
because that's going to make a fact determination. And for some people, like Lourdes, like, I bought my place knowing I had to do a full renovation. So to me, some of these things like the plumbing, the electrical, I knew I was ripping everything out, right? And I already got quotes. And I think that's an important topic that I didn't anticipate talk about. What I want you to cover a little bit is having a contractor go with you, right? Because when you're looking at a property, you may look online like I did, and I'm like, oh my gosh, the square footage price is X. I'm like, this is not possible, right? And then we get a couple quotes. You did this, I did this, and I used your guys, and we're like, holy cow, we saved 20,000 by working with this contractor versus another one.
Right.
And it scares a lot of people, right? I would say that's probably one thing that when I talk about, should I buy an investment property with like a multifamily, just remember you have to live in it. It has to be your primary residence at the time that you buy it. But that's such an important factor, because if you underestimate the budget, it's not good, right? So talk about a little bit, like, do you bring contractors with you when you go to some of these, or after you go under inspection? Like, when is the time to do that?
So it just really depends. If it's little things, I can send over the inspection report to my contractor, and then he can look it over for me and say, like, okay, this is ballpark on how much this is going to cost. Of course, I need to get into the property to give you an exact amount, but this is going to be the range of, I'll give you an example. We had a client that had galvanized piping, and it was like, if it's all the galvanized piping needs to be changed out in the house, this is the amount for that. If it's just the basement, this is the amount based on the square footage that you've given me. So it just depends. If it is a big project, then, and these costly things, plumbing, um, roof, do we need a new roof, or can we just like a tear off roof? Meaning you take everything off and you got to replace you know, some of the sheathing, some of the boards. Like, is it all, or can you just put another layer on top of it? So there's like so many things and so many options that you can do. Usually, if your real estate agent is versed in these projects or know like the basic cost of things. One, because they're doing this. Two, because they've been probably in the business for some time.
Yep.
They can give you like a rough estimate or put you in contact with their individuals that can, that can make it happen. So those are just two of the things that I would recommend.
Yeah, and then that's a good point on there. But yeah, but the problem too is like you don't know until you open up walls. Like I helped the neighbor with the plumbing issue.
Yeah.
Um, I've become handy over the last over the last couple of years myself. So I went there and the pipes were like three different size pipes and they kind of made it happen. But then when you go to the basement, like you can't see any of the where the piping is. I'm like, dude, you gotta rip everything out. And they're like, oh no, we don't want to do that. And I'm like, all right, well, the problem is gonna continue.
Yeah.
And the home wasn't cheap. Okay. So just kind of know that cost associated going into it. And Lourdes, you made a good point. There's really a couple ways that you can get estimates on a house. My least favorite is this per square footage price because it is like I feel like it's made up. They're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I had a flooring quote," and they're like, "Oh, it's $5 a square foot, not including material."
Wow.
And I'm thinking to myself, man, well, square footage for luxury laminate tile is like 3.29 to $4 a square foot around. I just was at the store the other day, and I'm going to another one today, and then you have on top of that installing it. So you're talking about $8 a square foot. And so I talked to another company, and they just basically said, we'll just do a daily fee for the workers, right? So two workers working, this is the amount per day. They should finish it X amount of time. You pay for the material. So you're not paying a premium on that material also. So then I saved $6,000 by doing it that way. That's not like, 6,000 even amongst friends. That's a lot of
It's a
money,
lot of money.
right? So this is why a lot of people get so scared of these renovations, or they do a home inspection. They're like, "Oh, well, I got quoted $40,000 for a kitchen." 40,000 for a nice high-end kitchen, like 10 by 10 kitchen. I mean, I just priced them out. Even with quartz countertops, you're still talking about $7,500, 8,000. That includes like
Mhm.
bathrooms and everything else, right? That's for like a nicer one. But this is why, and then plus installation, right? So you add on a couple thousand, right? So
Right.
you really got to do your homework on that. I know we were going to talk about rental properties, but we're not going to cover that today because we already have a long enough video as it is just talking about that. We're going to cover that in our next video because that also is a lot of information in that one. And then we'll also like actually pull up websites and things like because Lourdes is a pro at that. But Lourdes, do you have anything else to close us out for just understanding the condition of a property?
Yeah, you definitely we didn't really touch on the rental potential. I mean, the
We'll cover that in
renovation.
the next one. Yeah.
I mean, not rental potential. I'm sorry, the renovation potential. Like,
Yep.
I'm gonna hit this very quickly because I think it's very important. And if your area, for example, if you get more rents for a three-bedroom, versus a two-bedroom, and then there's area to make a three-bedroom, then that's something that I would also consider because,
Correct.
it's more common from the area. I'll give you an example. There's places out here, in Chicago where it has, like, a back sunroom. Like, if you make that sunroom into another bedroom, then you can add a tremendous amount of value. You go from 2 bedrooms to 3 bedrooms, and it increases the valuation substantially. Finishing basements and adding a garden unit, that can be another value add. I mean, there's so many things, and then even in certain areas, if um it's a ADU, you're able to add, like, a
Additional dwelling unit. That's what that
sorry,
means.
thank you. I was all like, "What does that stand for?" Yeah, additional dwelling unit. You can actually add a coach house, which would, like, completely take your budget, like not your budget, but your cash flow to, like, another level. So those are some of the things that I would look into. What is happening in the area that, like how you said, if there's new construction coming to your area. I know when I bought my property, there was a ton of vacant lots, all the way around. I got really excited because I was like, "Vacant lots equals, new
Oh yeah.
construction, and it's gonna increase the value of my property." So those are the things that you should be looking for. Also, in addition to like the deferred maintenance and the repairs that need to be done, is what kind of value add you can contribute to your property to increase the equity potential and your cash flow.
Right. Yeah, especially if you start seeing a lot of renovations in your area starting to happen, that is a very, very positive sign.
Very.
Like I see that by me too. Like we see a lot of people will, they'll do tear downs and build bigger homes, or they'll just completely renovate them, which then just brings up the whole area, and then people want to then move in. Because remember, the more you do, the more work you do, the more tax revenue technically the government makes. Just so also be aware of that. There's like a whole tax component to this. But these are all things we're going to be covering in these videos that we're doing.
Yeah.
So next time we'll just cut it down to one topic up front, but we're going to cover the rental market in the next video. I just want to thank everyone that joined us today. Please drop a comment down below if you have questions about the rental market, how it works, how to leverage the V loan, because we have a whole series of these videos we're doing, and let us know if you want us to do a special live event
Yeah.
just on investment properties, because I'm definitely down to do that. So thanks again, Lourdes, for joining me today for this great video, and then we'll catch you guys soon.